On this episode of AV Week, we talk Dante's USBC adapter, a chip shortage is hitting Pro AV, and touchscreens don't transmit COVID. All this and more on this episode of AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is AV Week, episode 504, Dragging Pro AV.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by Atlas IED, innovative audio solutions for every business environment, and by FSR, and by
Sennheiser. For over 75 years, Sennheiser has been a leader in pro audio and is now offering a wide variety of touchless and traditional audio solutions for both corporate and educational campus-wide audio.
Welcome to this episode of AV Week. This is your weekly roundup of all the latest news and stories for the AV industry. I'm your host, Matt D. Scott for AVNation.tv. This week I'm filling in for Tim, and I'm pleased to be joined by Willie Franklin. He is a senior technology specialist at, and I didn't ask the name of your university. I'm sorry, Willie.
Glorious Otterbein University.
Otterbein University, opposed to the undisclosed location that's currently sitting in my spreadsheet. Then we have Mr. Frank West. He is the VP of Systems America for QSC. How you doing, Frank?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Thank you again, both of you, for joining us. And we've got to have a little fun, because when Tim's not here and we do this flawlessly, everyone thinks it's super easy for him. So we got to make it look like it's a bit of a challenge. Gentlemen, we're going to start this off with with a story that comes to us from AV Network. Audinate is shipping a Dante AVIO USBC adapter. It is one of the first USB-C adapters on the market. It's going to give you the ability to deliver and receive 2 channels of audio over the Dante network. Willie, let me start with you on this. USB-C is still fairly new in the Pro AV space. It's been on Macs for a while, on PCs for about a year and a half, I would say. It's still pretty new. Is this really the starting point of USB-C being prevalent and being that next evolution of USB technology in the Pro AV space?
You know, I would love to say without hesitation that's an absolute yes, but at Otterbein in Westerville, Ohio, we really have not had the opportunity to see much with regards to USB-C utilization on campus. 99% of our users are still working by way of standard USB or HDMI. So when it comes to USB-C, we have a few systems that have come on board, or few users, I should say, that have come on board, and mostly in the Mac environment. And what that means for me and my role from an event staging standpoint is basically having the appropriate adapters so I can grab that user's content and make certain that it's a part of the show, whether it's a venue like this, they're on our local radio station on campus, or whether we're doing a live event pre-COVID in one of our event centers. So I really, at a personal level or professional level, haven't seen much utilization of USB-C thus far.
Can you roadmap, or are you starting to roadmap when that's going to become more prevalent?
We're really, I'll be honest, we're having a hard time doing that because there are so many unknowns with COVID right now. And I don't want to stick specifically to COVID as kind of a backstory to all of that. But a lot of our planning, a lot of our conversation is based on what's happening in the here and now, and of course what data we're gathering about the needs going forward. As we look at our needs going forward, looking at events, looking at budget as we're looking to integrate new technologies, there's always that question of, what are our users' needs? How are they using technologies? When clients come in the door and we're interfacing with members of the public or business partners who visit our institutions, there's that need assessment. And again, we're just not seeing data that seems to be indicating that thus far. Now, I'll also preface that by saying that Otterbein University is a small liberal arts college with a little under 3,000 full-time students, which means unlike a big university that has, say, 60,000, 50, or 40,000 individuals across its campus, that technology consumer market, if you will, it can be vastly different. So being a small footprint of technology users out there, we have a smaller demographic of users and demands that provide that data that drives innovation on our campus.
Yeah, very good. Frank, when you look at this, the thing that kind of threw me off is it's going to be obviously an evolution to USB-C. We will get to the point where USB is essentially the VGA, right? Original USB 1, USB 2. But it's not, like when you look at USB originally, it's like two iterations. USB-C is more the connector opposed to a bandwidth. It's everything from 480 megabits up to 20 on the Thunderbolt side. How do you go about trying to manage that deployment of looking at utilizing USB-C, but ensuring that you're like it's almost going down the vein of HDMI and all of their fun versions and headaches that come with that?
Yeah, and I think obviously this isn't an example of the consumer industry is going to drag the professional industry along. And as USB-C becomes more prevalent on devices, it's what people are going to be carrying into conference rooms. And also, as you start seeing USB-C more on displays, I think that's what people are going to want to use. So the two areas that I'm most interested in for this connector, the first one would be in the bring your own meeting scenarios where people are going into a room that maybe it has a soft codec computer already in the room, but the user wants to use their device and or their soft codec of choice. USB-C is a great way to enable that type of experience for people. So you're going to need some sort of endpoint at the desk that has the ability to ingest that. Likewise, I think it could really simplify and potentially make the video streaming market a lot more cost effective by, as we start seeing displays on it, USB-C video streaming devices being more the norm for us going forward.
Do you expect to see, specifically kind of from a QSC standpoint, do you expect to see for kind of the foreseeable future a situation where you're going to have integrators specify like a USB connection at the table as well as a USB-C connection at the table? Are we going to play that VGA HDMI game?
I guess my thinking is really more like if and when USB-C starts to replace HDMI as a standard connector, is HDMI going to die really fast, or is there going to be this tolerance to try to support the different connectors? You've got a dog in the fight.
Yeah,
but is there going to be a tolerance basically to have these multiple connectors available for people to support different infrastructures? And I think that'll be hopefully the AV consulting community and end users have never been more AV savvy than they are today, I believe. So they're going to have a vision for what they want to do, and it's up to the rest of us manufacturers to actually catch up to what the customer wants, because this is a big change, I think.
Hey, thanks for watching the first segment of this week's episode. To catch the entire show, please click the link below or visit avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv.